Hey, Major League Baseball fans, you're going to love this. Today's episode is brought to you by the Sports Card Investor app. Welcome to the world of trading cards reimagined. Stay tuned later in the show for more information on this awesome new tool for collectors. You're going to want to check out the Sports Card Investor app. Thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen, as we're available on all your free podcasting catchers. Let's get the show started. Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, Locked On Diamondbacks crossover, which will be titled Better Late Than Never. This show is being dropped on the 28th day of June, 2022. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. If you see my lower third right there, you know you can call me Sully. Right over there, if you see where I'm pointing to there, that's Millard Thomas. He's the host of Locked On Diamondbacks. Normally, we do this crossover on a Monday. Fate and travel plans forced us to do this on a Tuesday, and if you're probably listening to it on Wednesday morning. Confusing? Maybe it is. But we're going to be looking at these still confusing suspensions that were handed out to the Angels and the Mariners after a very spirited fight took out, which probably began with a plunking of Mike Trout the day before. Maybe it runs deeper. Here's the thing about your pal Sully. I really don't care about fights. I don't think it shows masculinity. I don't think it shows toughness. And I think it's really stupid. But guess what? It's the Angels versus the Mariners. And they both are non-contenders this year, which is really sad. We're going to be taking a look also at the top four World Series contenders as we're wrapping up the month of June. Guess what? We only have a few days left in June. You can't say, it's early. It's going to be July before this week is done. We're going to be looking at the top four World Series contenders and the top four MVP contenders in each league. And do you want to tackle the Cy Young Award on it too?
Sure.
Time permitted.
Whatever you want.
Permitted. I just realized something. You can hear me just fine, right?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
I just realized that my headphones were not plugged in.
Oh.
But you know what? Guess what? Like a nice homemade cookie that's maybe a little rough around the edges, but they're plugged in right now. Boom. It's a locked over crossover. Hey, Millard Thomas, tell people where people can follow you.
Hey, you can follow me on my personal account at CreatorThomas24, or if you just go in that little search bar, Twitter, Instagram, type in Locked On Diamondbacks. I'm sure you can find the podcast handle.
Yeah, we only have smart listeners on this show. I'm going to address something. I'm doing a bit of a mailbag episode coming up. I do want to address one of the comments that I got on one of my listeners said to me on the podcast, basically saying, why don't I start each show with a recap of the previous night's games and the highlights, and then bring on the guest and everything like that. There's a reason for it. I would love to format the show like that. I would love to. I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit here. Your pal Sully has another job that I have to wake up early in the morning to get to. And if I stay up to follow all of the California and West Coast games and then record an opening and then edit it and then put it together, your pal Sully's not getting to bed until after midnight. And then I'm going to be staggering into my job, of which I have to be physically in the classroom well before 8 a.m. So you kind of do the math there. If we sell some more Built Bars, some more Blue Nile, maybe this could be your pal Sully's full-time job. The fact of the matter is, I don't always record these. Sometimes I record them ahead of time. Sometimes I record two ahead of time. Come look at, there's no way I can record a show. But I'm going to go out of my way to give you 5 episodes a week. It's just not always recorded that day. Also, and this is another thing, I kind of would like some of these episodes to survive longer than the milk I just bought at Trader Joe's. So if you're listening to past episodes of a show and I'm recapping what happened between the Dodgers and the Rockies, and you're listening to it weeks from now, I kind of like to have some of our conversation be a little more evergreen. Not always, but sometimes. But anyway, that's my response. I would love to format it like that if this was my full-time job, or more likely, I would do a scoreboard show, post that, and then as a bonus every morning, and then do the normal show. Maybe I'll go ahead and do something like that later on. But right now, you're stuck with me 5 days a week.
You know what we need, Sully? You know NFL Red Zone? We need like Sully Red Zone, where just you watching all the games all at one time. I think that's what the people want.
Yeah, that also be solely red eyes during my days in my classroom in the morning. But we'll see. Well, maybe we'll make some adjustments. Okay, let's. Speaking of adjustments and speaking of people being called out, we had ourselves a let's call it a major brawl. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the film The Naked Gun, the great comedy, the comedy that came out in the 80s. Based upon the TV show Police Squad, Leslie Nielsen. O.J. Simpson's in it. He's an actor with no baggage. The final half hour of the movie inexplicably takes place during an Angels-Mariners game that includes Reggie Jackson playing Reggie Jackson being hypnotized to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II as he's walking across the field saying, "I must kill the Queen." Trust me, it's a funny movie of which the last half hour of the film is just baseball jokes. It's inexplicable. I love The Naked Gun, and it's the game within the film is between the Angels and the Mariners, which was a weird in joke for 1988 because they were talking about how important this game is for these two teams, as both of those teams were like practically in last place at the time. And in the film, there's a gigantic fight, bench clearing brawl that takes place between the two where they're breaking out chairs. There's a tiger runs through the field. And all I could do when I saw the clips of the Angels and Mariners brawling was think of The Naked Gun. I'm going to post on Locked On MLB on our Twitter feed. I'm going to post the clip of the big fight from The Naked Gun because it was ridiculous like that. To the point where one of the players took a box full of gum and sunflower seeds and heaved it across the field. It was a big pile of stupid is what it was.
Yeah, you might have to take from that brawl in the Angels Mariners game that happened, last week. You might have to take those faces, like put Jesse Winker's face and put it on those guys in The Naked Gun. That would be a pretty funny thing to do for social media.
We have the technology to do that. Let's just start popping that in there. Yeah. Look, I hate brawls in baseball. I hate beanball wars. I hate all that. I think it's all stupid. I think it's fake machismo. I hate fake machismo. But if you like baseball fights, though, this one wasn't. Most baseball fights is everyone comes out, they stand around like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" And then they push them aside, and everyone goes back. And the players on the fringe are basically talk like, "Hey, dude, what are you watching on Netflix these days?" But this was. Honest to goodness, you had what's his name? The third baseman. The third baseman.
Rendon
throwing swings. He has a broken hand.
Yeah, my man can't even play games right now. He's gonna have to be suspended when he comes back off the injured list. He's not even allowed to sit on the bench, I think, for the next 7 games after what he did.
And we saw the night before that Trout got there was headhunting going on for Trout. Which I think is Bush League. Then we saw the Angels bring out an opener, basically a 1-inning pitcher, to chuck at the first batter.
Yeah.
Everyone was warned. Everyone got it. And then, things – and then, Wentz, I guess it was, threw at Julio Rodriguez's head. And then, Jesse Winker – gets tossed and he does the double birds. He says, "We're number one" to the fans. I think he was doing. Here's a tough trivia question, and this is why I hate baseball brawls. Who won that game?
Yeah,
exactly.
Good question. Exactly. You got me there.
Exactly. The Angels won it 2-1, which is not insignificant because the Mariners. Remember the Mariners? Mm-hmm. They're technically the same team that won 90 games last year, that contended until the final weekend of the season, acquired the defending American League Cy Young Award winner and fooled me into thinking they're going to the playoffs this year. They're an irrelevant team.
Yep.
When we list the 4 best World Series contenders, I haven't seen your 4 contenders. I'm going to guess that Seattle's not one of them.
No team with Robbie Ray is going to be a contender for me. I'm sorry.
Well, there you go. Oh, that's right. That's a sore subject with you.
Yeah.
And so while they're playing, they're playing who's got a bigger head than the other. The Mariners should be thinking about winning baseball games. The Mariners shouldn't be thinking about who they're throwing at or how much, what sort of machismo is happening here. And so the dust settled. Phil Nevin, who obviously ordered his pitcher to throw at them, got 10 games. Okay, congratulations. Your interim manager is out for 1/16 of the season. Jesse Winker, who charged the dugout and told everyone we're number 1, he got 7 games. Anthony Rendon, who was injured, almost could have re-injured himself, got 5 games. Dom Chidi, the Angels pitching coach, Mariners shortstop J.P. Crawford, Angels pitcher Andrew Wentz, Ryan Tepera of the Angels, Raciel Iglesias of the Angels, the Ray Montgomery, the bench coach of the Angels, Bill Hasselman of the catching coach. I love that the Angels interpreter, Manny Del Campo, you suspended the freaking interpreter.
That was the name I was waiting for you to say, because that's the most wild part of suspension. I was like, what did the interpreter do during all this? Was he throwing punches?
I bet when people were trash talking, he was interpreting. What he was saying was this. He said something about your mother, mama,
You're just instigating the whole time in just different languages. That's actually a pretty funny example. If you were,
actually, you don't know what he said to you, but I'll tell you what he said to you.
And I think for Winker, I think the only reason he even got the 7 games, I think it probably would have been 5 games if he didn't flip off the fans. I feel like the flipping off the fans added the 2 extra games, because I feel like he probably should have got 5 games. Because if I'm Winker, like, I did get hit, like, I don't mind his retaliation. I think Phil Nevin getting 10 games is valid, because I think, like you said, throwing pitches at the opposing batters, I think it's just bush league. And maybe Scott Service should be suspended too, because if he made the call to throw at Mike Trout's head, maybe he should be suspended too for the same reasons. I'm not sure if that was the call, but I don't agree ever with throwing at dudes with the baseball, because it is wild. You can hit someone in the head, you could end careers like that. So whenever a manager who, when you see at the last minute the starter getting pulled for a reliever to start the game, and then all of a sudden that guy's coming in and just throwing at Julio Rodriguez head. Thankfully he misses, and then he hits Jesse Winker like on the leg. Like, the manager of that game deserves to be suspended, because you should never throw at opposing batters.
Yeah, and we just saw what happened with throwing it at not that it was done intentionally, but we lost Bryce Harper for maybe the season.
Yeah.
How is that good for baseball to lose the defending MVP and do it because now that was and even Harper was screaming it back to who was that? Was it Snell? Who was the Padres pitcher?
Yeah, I think it was Snell.
That he was saying, I know you didn't do it on purpose. I know it. Because it was a pitch that clearly got away. But if you're really throwing at batters, and you can hurt someone, I'm sorry. If you don't like that a team is beating you, beat them.
And it's not like they ever throw like their changeup. They're always throwing like their freaking heat. They're trying to throw it as hard as they can at these opposing batters, which is the most dangerous part. It's not like they're throwing, a curveball just to let you know that I'm here and you can't be doing that. No, they're throwing the 100-mile-an-hour heat, and they're usually throwing at your head too.
Also, the Julio Rodriguez got suspended, and no one seems to be able to figure out why. Mm-hmm. No one can seem to figure out what he did. Maybe the interpreter interpreted something he said. I don't know, but there's teams of sociologists and psychologists and forensics experts who are trying to figure out what Julio Rodriguez did to warrant a suspension. But I think there's also, let's face it, a little bit of frustration going on here. The Angels went into June as a playoff team, and now, they went on that massive losing streak. Joe Madden is going to LinkedIn.com looking for a new job. That's not a sponsor for today's show. And the Mariners, who had images of a division title dancing in their head, are looking up the street, barring a complete miracle. And barring an absolute collapse of Boston, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, what are the chances that all three of those teams are going to collapse? Go to BetOnline and try to bet
Probably
on
not.
that. Not one of our sponsors, but not for today.
Yeah,
But
I think this was the definition of just like frustrations boiling over, And as far as baseball brawls go, though, I mean, this was one of the better ones we've seen in recent memory. Usually, these,
yeah,
the bench is clear and punches aren't thrown. Like JP Crawford was out there throwing punches. We mentioned Rendon. The man had his arms in a cast. He can't even use his left arm. He's still out there
yeah.
throwing punches. Like, so overall, like it was a pretty good baseball brawl. We don't get too
That's
many of
why
those.
I thought of it, and I'll show you. I'll send you the clip. I know Millard Thomas. You're only 14 years old.
Yeah.
That you would. I will post the clip of the brawl of the Naked Gun. Just and for fans of the Naked Gun, hopefully, you'll get what I'm getting at. I got to really, really update some of my references. I had Nash Walker from Locked On Twins the other day, and I made a reference to the 1980 comedy 9 to 5 because the Yankees won 9 to 5, and in the 80s, one of the most popular comedies was a movie called 9 to 5, and I made a reference to it, and the look of complete confusion on his face usually is only seen by a time traveler. So I got to update some of my references.
Yeah.
But when 9 to 5 and some of these other films came out, I was a big, big baseball card collector. And is there anything you want to talk to us a little bit about being a baseball card collector today as opposed to the 1980s?
Yeah, I'll talk to you real quick. Please, just more references post my birthday of me being born. That's all I ask for. Just post 1997 stuff because it's pretty rare we get those references. But overall, I do want to talk to you guys about sports cards because I love sports cards. Growing up, my grandfather, he passed down a whole bunch of sports cards to me, and it's something I fell in love with as I start to grow up. And when I look at this Diamondbacks team, it's young, it's got a young core. We got Alec Thomas. We got Dalton Varsho. And I want to own a piece of that young Diamondbacks core. We got Corbin Carroll, Jordan Lawler coming up pretty soon as well. So if you want to own a piece of the Diamondbacks going forward and just be a part of the franchise, you need to check out the Sports Card Investor app because welcome to the world of sports cards reimagined. The Sports Card Investor app is the hobby's most powerful resource. Quickly check the value of your favorite cards, find great deals, and profit from the hobby you love. Available completely free in the Google Play and Apple App Stores. The Sports Card Investor app is a must-have for baseball fans. It's completely free, easily browse over 630,000 cards from every sport with hundreds more added each week. Check the latest values of your favorite cards with 7-day or 30-day charts. Find the best prices and buy directly through the app with our eBay Deals feature. Download the Sports Card app and download the Sports Card Investor app today, available for free in the Google Play and Apple App Stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/lockedon. I know there's a lot of confusion about the backslash and forward slash in our little lockdown, MLB chat. So I want to make sure I got the correct one in there.
Well, I can tell you that our national nightmare is over, and you got them correct. All right, let me just tell you something why I'm making a little bit of a change in the show. I'm calling a little bit of an audible here. Millard and I went on to do our breakdown of MVP candidates and World Series contenders, and we went on a long time. Now, sometimes Millard and I can be, I don't know, we can talk a while, but this got ridiculous. And so, what I've decided to do was segments 2 and 3. I'm just going to release tomorrow as their own episode. And so, what I'm right now doing is I'm going to jump in, talk a little bit about some stuff that went on in baseball on Tuesday, the 28th, and and recap a couple of facts. Um, let's just talk about one thing. I know I've been asked by the good folks of Locked On to not go down anything controversial or political or anything like that. I do have topics that I do want to bring up, which I don't think are political. I think they're just about morality, and I think they're about how baseball can do the right thing and has been doing the right thing. But let's just talk about something. The Red Sox are in what is going to be a season-long fight to be one of the wild card teams. Now, we have talked a lot over the last few weeks about how the American League Central could very well be the focus point for all the other teams that are fighting for one of the wild card spots. But the Rays, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays right now are just completely bunched together. And it doesn't take a genius to think that there's a real possibility that only a game here or a game there is going to separate Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay by the end of the year. And so every single game, especially the head to head matchups that go on between those two teams, have an added bit of importance. If you're trying to make up games, you're trying to have a little bit of a cushion in September, the games that you win here in June and by the end of the week, July, are going to be critical. Boston is going up to Toronto to play a critical game where they were just a critical series. Where they were just about a game and a half ahead of Toronto and sort of floating, like only, in the loss column, one or two games separate Toronto, Boston, and Tampa. So these games are important, especially to earn a spot in the wild card and to earn a chance to be in a good setting in the wild card. And for Boston, who has played very, very well, thank you very much, since the middle of May, but have the kind of team that could play just as badly. They could have a great month, and they're capable of having a bad month. Do you know why? Their pitching has been surprising, but sometimes teams that have surprising pitching, the pitching comes back to normal. Boston needs to win these games against Toronto. And what happened? Is Duran there? No. Is Houck there? No. Why? Because they didn't get their vaccines. They're not vaccinated. They didn't go to freaking Walgreens or Rite Aid or CVS and plunk, get the shot. And I can only be respectful for other people's points of view so much. Okay? First of all, the pandemic's not over, but have you noticed it's been kind of sort of contained to a degree? Have you noticed that we've all known people? Every one of us has known someone who's gotten COVID in the last bunch of months. And when you find out someone's, they tested positive. Oh, they tested positive. Is it a death knell now? Are we starting to have them put together their last rites and everything? Or do they get really kind of sick for a few days and then move on with their lives? I think it's kind of the latter, isn't it? Remember with the horrifying news of someone tested positive 2 years ago as opposed to now? And guess why? Can you figure out why? Do you think you can figure out why? Do you think that maybe it's because the effect of COVID, when you have a vaccine in your body, it suddenly doesn't become deadly. It suddenly becomes something you can live with and survive and everything like that because you've got the freaking vaccine in you. We've had a couple of years of figuring this out. And so now we have Tanner Houck and Duran not going north, and the Red Sox are shorthanded. And lo and behold, what happened today? The Red Sox were down 4-1 to Tampa. Ref Snyder hit a dramatic home run to tie the game. The Red Sox took the lead, but they didn't have Houck ready for the ninth. Do you know why? Because he was sitting in his apartment in Boston going like, I don't want a shot. I don't want it. And so out came Danish and out came Hansel Robles, and Robles took one pitch to blow the save. And then the Blue Jays walked it off with 2 runs in the ninth. Now, would they have guaranteed to win that game if Houck was up there? No, of course it's not a guarantee, but you're shorthanded. And beyond whatever you're saying about, well, it's his choice to get a shot. I'm not going to get into the my body, my choice arguments here for reasons that you should be able to understand. But what I will be able to say is, hey, the expression take one for the team? This is literally taking a shot for the team. And don't tell me baseball players are suddenly adverse to getting shots. Oh, they were getting tons of shots. not too long ago. This is just stupidity. I'll say it. If you have a problem with it, don't go to Locked On. Send me a tweet at Sully Baseball. And guess what? You'll be wrong. This is dumb that you're not going to participate in the curbing of a pandemic, but even just beyond the scientific and the moral and the social reasons, how about helping your team? How about saying, hey, I'm going to be there for my teammates? Yeah, I'm going to sit this out because little needles go pokey poke, and I don't know science, and therefore my lack of knowledge of science should be the same as someone's knowledge. I'm getting a little tired of people being proud of their ignorance. I am. And I'm not sticking to, stick to baseball. I am sticking to baseball. This made the Red Sox worse. And they were not at full strength. And if we get to the end of the year and a game or two, and Toronto's like a game or two ahead of the Red Sox, you can say, oh, remember when they went north and didn't have their full roster with them? What's going to happen if it's playoff time? What if they have to play each other in a wild card series? Are you going to sit out the wild card series because you don't like a whittle ouchie? This is just dumb. As a native New Englander, I want to see the Red Sox do well. But Tanner Houck, you're dumb and selfish. And look what happened. An undermanned bullpen got bested by a pretty good Toronto team. And suddenly the Red Sox wild winning streak has now turned to 2. This would have been a great win. A great win for the Red Sox. Because it would have, you would have gone to tomorrow's game, hoping for a chance to win the series. Instead, you're trying to avoid a sweep. Just, you know what? Tired of dumb. Tired of people being proud of being dumb. Sometimes you need to give your body a little maintenance. Sometimes you got to do the right thing, even if it means getting a little repair done here or there. Kind of like we do with our cars when you go to rockauto.com. With the ever increasing number of makes and models, it's impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts that you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questions and wait for the person behind the counter to order the parts in their computer? You've got the method to get a hold of rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. You can save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you could need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even a new carpet. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to try to find the solution for your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, and write "Locked in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car are ever going to need. They're at rockauto.com. And let's talk a little bit more about the good folks at, let's say it with me, that's Blue Nile. Hey, if you're ready to pop the question, or if you're celebrating a milestone moment, you can find jewelry as unique as the person you love with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. If you're looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners and Locked On MLB listeners will get $50 off of purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement rings. So use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Okay, I'm having all sorts of technical problems today. I am just trying to land this plane like Captain Sully riding through a goose. Your pal Sully is just trying to get through this one. Hey, all the games are over. Remember how I got that request saying, can you go over some of the games? Well, I could do that now. So let's go through what happened on baseball on the 28th day of June. If there was ever a microcosm for a season, it happened in Anaheim as both Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani had big games. Ohtani homered, hit an RBI double. Trout hit a home run, and yet the Angels still got clobbered 11-4. Johnny Cueto got the win for the Chicago White Sox, who are creeping closer to 500. The Padres lost a heartbreaking game. Hey, Millard's probably happy about the fact that the Arizona Diamondbacks scored 2 runs in the 8th and tied the game on a hit by pitch with the bases loaded. And Rojas scored the game-winning run in the bottom of the 9th inning. The D-backs won 7-6. The Giants took advantage with 2 runs batted in from Longoria and 2 runs batted in from Yastrzemski. Carlos Rodon got the win as the Giants squeaked past Detroit 4-3. The Dodgers did not fare particularly well against the Colorado Rockies. Kershaw got the loss. Freeland got the win. And despite having a home run by Diaz, Randall Grichuk got a big home run. And there was a bunch of home runs by the Dodgers, including Max Muncy and Trey Turner. But it was a slugfest, 7-4 Colorado. So the Giants were the only team to gain any ground in the National League West. Hey, the Orioles and the Rangers are creeping closer to 500. The Orioles hit 5 home runs the other day. And while they lost today, they got a really good pitching performance. And the Mariners wound up blanking Baltimore 2-0. But the pitching was really good for Baltimore. They're only 6 games under 500. They looked like they would be another 100-loss team just a month or so ago. They've been winning. Now the Mariners, they got a win. Robbie Ray pitched well, but they're still a little too far back. The Guardians and Twins split their doubleheader. The Guardians squeaked past in the first game. Ahmed Rosario got the big hit. And then Josh Winder pitched very well for the Twins as they shut out the Guardians. Jorge Polanco's back. He had a 2-run home run. That's pretty cool. Byron Buxton also got he got a home run. That's his 20th. Patrick Corbin, who has been awful this season, pitched quite well. He reached back and he pitched the way he used to as the Nats beat the Pirates 3-1. Diego Castillo got a home run for the Pirates in that game. Back and forth game between the Braves and the Bryce Harper-less Phillies. Matt Olson got a pair of home runs as the Braves wound up winning that, as they're hanging around trying to announce their presence with authority in the National League East, which was helped by the fact that the Mets got absolutely plastered by the Astros 9-1. Framber Valdez gave the Astros 8 innings of solid shutout ball. The Yankees beat the A's 2-1. The A's tried to rally in the 9th, in a rally that started with a catcher's interference, but Clay Holmes has just been unbeatable, and the Yankees won again. They're on pace to win 1 billion games. We went over the Blue Jays and Red Sox and the Brewers and Rays in what I wanted to be the World Series matchup last year, because we've been 2 franchises who had never won the World Series. But Brandon Woodruff got the win, and it struck out 10. And Luis Urias got a big home run there. Cardinals keep on winning. It was Sosa got the big RBI triple in the game. Nolan Arenado played some great defense. And I do not believe Goldschmidt hit a home run, but Dakota Hudson got the victory there. The Reds and the Cubs in a series that means absolutely nothing. 2 teams that were good last year, at least good at this point last year, and phoning it in. Jonathan India got a big 3-run home run for Cincinnati in that game. I mentioned the Rangers, who are now only 1 game under 500. They play a day game on Wednesday. They beat the Kansas City Royals 8-3. Marcus Semien, remember him? He had a big 3-run home run in that game. So there you have it. A lot of day games are being played on Wednesday as we're going to be wrapping up the month of June. Had some tech problems today, went really long. Tomorrow, check out my episode with Millard, where we're going to break through who we think are the MVP candidates and the World Series candidates. Thanks so much for making us your first listen, as we're available for free on all your free podcasts and catchers. Millard will be back here, as I said, tomorrow. We are going through our 4 pennant contenders, the leading pennant contenders, and who we think at this point, as we're nudging closer and closer to the halfway mark of the season, who we think are in line to be the most intriguing World Series matchups. And of the top four, I bet you can figure out who each of our top four are based upon the quality of the teams out there. But who do we have on top? Who are our top ones out there? And oh, by the way, you can listen to Locked On MLB, look at Locked On Diamondbacks. Thanks for making us your first listen. Also, check out Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia. He's going deep on the MLB stars. So tomorrow it's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Well, this has been an interesting one, and hopefully everything's going to work out. But check us out today. Check us out tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Locked On MLB for the 28th day of June, 2022. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.